want to talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You want to talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you want to talk.
Welcome, my friends, back to Talk to Solomon. I'm Stan Solomon, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
And our good friend Greg W. Howard from the great state of Alabama. As we talk with Major General Jerry Curry. General, we had two incidents that took place. They are not huge incidents, but they are representative incidents. In one case, according to what we're told, a white man sitting on a plane, a guy from a president of a company from Idaho, sitting next to a woman, a white woman with a black child, a mixed or black child, I'm not sure which, a little baby, like a 15 or 18-month-old baby, called the baby a racial name and slapped the baby because the baby was crying. That man was roundly disparaged, and his company fired him. He was the president of the company, and the board said, "You're no longer the president of the company." And he was just given all kinds of grief, by the way, all of which, if this is all true, and I assume it is richly deserved. I mean, hitting any child is abhorrent, and you know, thinking somehow if a child's from a different race, that frees you to do that is just insanity. But we had Alec Baldwin, a person with the IQ of a kumquat, a guy who has consistently proven the need for deodorant because he stinks, call a member of the media who was black a racial name, and no one's saying anything to him. It's like it didn't happen. Now, I only point this out because of the hypocrisy, the double standard. Your thoughts?
Yeah, completely double standard. And that's where we are today. That's where our culture is. That's where our society is. I saw a picture of that little baby, by the way, a cute little rascal. The mother was interviewed on television. I got to see that too, and she seemed to have her act together, her life together. It said that she stood up in the aisle almost the entire flight, bouncing her baby to keep the baby quiet so he didn't disturb the other passengers. If I had been close to that guy, being who I am and being a male, I am afraid I would have forgotten myself, and I would have probably cold-cocked him, and he would deserve that to happen. Baldwin's just a perfect example of where the liberal part of America is these days. If you're a left-wing loony, you can do anything you want to, and the media will cover it up.
I want to say more, but I'm not going to. I'm going to defer to my calm, cool, collected police officer friend, Chief Steve.
Well, several things in this story. The first is racial crimes, which I don't believe in racial crimes. If somebody stabs me because I'm white or because they want to take my money, I just get stabbed. I think we should focus on the crime and not the intent of the crime really so much. But in this story, I'm very glad that the man that slapped the baby on the plane got fired. I hope he gets arrested because he's obviously attacked a defenseless human being that didn't deserve it at all. And if you can't take a baby crying, he should have got up and walked the aisles. And I wish the general had been on the plane. I wish I'd have been there to see the general cock-cocking because that would have been worth any flight that could ever be done. But Alec Baldwin is the example of the left who says, I can do whatever I want. You can't do it because you're not me. But I can do it because I'm Alec Baldwin, I'm the left, and I'm better than you, so I get away with it.
There was a guy with NBC News who called the people in, I want to say this correct, I think it was Somalia, jungle bunnies, which is obviously a racial comment. And someone said, why are you using that term? He says, because I know how and when to use it, and you don't. So I can do it. Greg.
Well, there's a little more to the story about the guy from Idaho. This was not his first alcohol-related violent anger issue. He was, in fact, arrested. He had been arrested before for bad behavior while drunk. and he will pay the price for this. He's already paying the price financially. He will certainly face some sort of misdemeanor charge, which will go to his already illustrious record of what happens when you cannot control yourself, you drink, and you have anger issues. The mother did, in fact, do the best she could to keep the baby calm, but in landing, as is very common with small children, the pressure change bothered the baby's ears, and he started crying, and that's how it goes. Now, as to Alec Baldwin, had he made a movie about the Passion of Jesus and had done this behavior, the press would be all over him, as they were with
Mel Gibson.
With our friend,
Mel
what
Gibson.
was his name?
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, yeah. However, Capital One is not hearing the end of this. On Twitter today, through our Ops Slam project, we have been hammering Capital One all day. I think Capital One and Alec Baldwin need to pay the price financially for this. And if you happen to have a Capital One card, maybe sending it back to Capital One in the form of confetti, saying, as long as you're going to hire racists, we don't need to do business with you, would be an effective form of doing business with them. It's a free enterprise system. It's your choice to do that. There are plenty of other credit cards out there, and I don't think the conservatives need to be supporting this type of behavior.
Well said. All right. I want to talk about the cultural diversity training being mandated on federal workers, in this case by the Department of Agriculture, USDA, sensitivity training among and I listened to this from several entities, where people had to say out loud, the Pilgrims were illegal aliens. Thank you, black folks. What were some of the others? I want to say that America was founded by outsiders who are today's insiders, who are very nervous about today's outsiders. The bottom line is this instruction by, it turns out, an African American that was mandated for every person that works for the USDA, paid for with our money, is indoctrination. I'll start with you, General.
Oh, it's worse than indoctrination. The Secretary of the USDA should have taken one look at what was being taught in this course and thrown the whole thing in the trash and canceled all of the classes immediately and said, if you can't come up with something intelligent, something that makes sense, something that's American, we're not going to do it, and so you're out of here. And that's the way it ought to be handled. We should never even gone through the training. This stuff is garbage, and you can see how much garbage it is just by looking at the scripts.
Now, has the USDA even canceled these courses, or do you know?
I have no idea.
Greg, do you happen to know?
No, I don't know, but the fact that government funds are actually being spent on this, that government time is being used on this, and that government manpower and man-hours are being wasted on this is just absolutely appalling when we have Obama on TV today saying, well, in order to cut government things, we're going to have to cut your benefit and your benefit and your benefit. Please, the government wastes $80 billion on pens and pencils and paper clips every year, and then crap like this comes along. It's just absolutely insane.
Chief, did you ever go through sensitivity training?
Not like this. This is hate speech. And while I'm opposed to hate crime, since the left loves them so much, this man should be arrested for conspiracy to foster and commit hate speech and hate crimes.
All right. Well, I think we should give him a fair trial and then
Real
make him
quickly,
listen.
And then butcher him.
Stan,
What?
I don't believe in hate crimes because there's no such thing as a love crime. Even so-called crimes of passion are not acts of love. They're acts of jealousy, anger, and rage. There's no such thing as a love crime. All crimes are committed out of hate, jealousy, greed, covetousness, etc. Okay, so let's drop the hate crime garbage. Nobody commits a crime out of love.
Well, I think that's well said. Speaking of crimes, let's talk about Obamacare. We have seen businesses say either they're moving from one state to another and or They're going to be laying people off or shortening people's hours. They're going to overtly and in your face do what they have to do to minimize their cost and their compliance, if you will, with the so-called spirit of Obamacare. And that's my question for you, General. Many people think Obamacare was about giving health care to people who don't have it, when everyone knows that's 100% untrue. Obamacare was about gaining control over people, gaining access to pertinent information, and then giving government the ability to utilize that to control people. At least that's my thought. Yours, please.
Well, I think you're right on target. That's exactly what it's about. Nobody with any brains at all really believes that Obamacare is about bringing good medical care to the American people. And you look at across the world, even today, in spite of the bad things that Obama has been saying about our health care for 5 years, still today, if you're a foreigner and you want the best medical care in the world, you come to the United States and that's where you get it. Of course, you have to pay for it when you do this. But that's exactly what is going on with Obamacare. Obamacare is nothing more than the government taking total control of our lives, and this is the first big mouthful. And once he gets this and the government gets this, and we're dependent on the federal government for everything, then there'll be another monstrous mouthful taken, and then that'll be followed by another monstrous mouthful taken. Pretty soon our entire lives will be dictated to and run by the federal government.
Which is, by the way it is in China, the way it is in Russia, the way it is in Brazil, the way it is in England, the way it is in Australia, the way it is in most of the world, whether you want to admit it or not. The only quote-unquote so-called free country is not free because you can choose your own profession. It's free because you can choose the way you want to live and have options to do so. Greg?
Well, the final end result planned for Obamacare is to bankrupt all private payer systems and force a single-payer government system. In fact, some of the developments going on behind the scenes in Obamacare and healthcare today have all the healthcare stocks down precipitously today. That is, this is my industry, as you well know. So there's a lot of garbage going on. Also, the interim pool for insuring the people who could not get health insurance because they had pre-existing conditions, that ran out of money this last weekend. So the folks that had pre-existing conditions who couldn't get health insurance and had to sign up for this pool can't even get into that now at this time. So it's an absolute disgusting mess. It's going to get worse. Companies are shutting down their hiring practices. They are converting employees to part-time. And here's a nice little pièce de la résistance. State Farm is leaving Obama's home state of Illinois and moving to Texas. I thought that was a nice little piece of icing on the cake.
And people have to understand, State Farm writes 40% of all of the insurance, property and casualty insurance in the whole country. That
is going to be a huge drain on the economy of the state of Illinois.
It's going to
there are a lot of jobs going to be leaving Illinois.
Right. It's going to cost, they're saying, at least 50,000 jobs, and it's going to cost the state of Illinois hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. Maybe as much as $1 billion.
That's just the initial tax revenue, Stan. The flow-through tax revenue of the people who work there and the jobs they support with their consumer dollars is going to result in billions of dollars of loss to the state of Illinois Treasury.
And Illinois is already broke.
Yeah.
Chief?
Well, broke doesn't matter. You can go into debt, like California. So that's what you do. But this is another bait and switch. They talk about health care, and as you said, Stan, and the general said, this is about control. Not about health care at all, it's about control. It's the bait and switch tactic. But it's also a financial nightmare, as Greg alluded to, and I was reading a story just the other day about Walmart. Walmart, who supported Obamacare, by the way, now had their worst January, I think, in history because the people got their paychecks cut and gasoline is going off the roof and the people don't have any money to go buy anything at Walmart anymore thanks to Obamacare.
Well, I think that there are other problems besides Obamacare, but Walmart had the worst start of February in their history. January was a terrible month. Walmart has 8,500 stores, employs more people than the federal government, and does more business than all of its competitors put together by a long shot. In fact, they say if you add their major competitors, Target and Kmart and all those others, Walmart by March does more business than all those stores do all together for the whole year. So when a store like Walmart is seeing things go south, and they are seeing things go south, it tells you. But one of the things that Walmart wanted, and many major companies wanted when this first started, was, hey, if we don't have to pay for health insurance, that's a huge load lifted off of our shoulders. So to have a insurance supplied by the government, that's worth paying, a straight amount of money because you're not competing or having to deal with that. And what they found out, and everyone is finding out, is that it wasn't about health insurance to begin with. It was simply a ruse. All right. I want to ask a question, and no one knows the answer, so therefore we can all conjecture. I've heard that Chief Justice, what's his name?
Imbecile?
Yeah, moron. No, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Roberts, changed his mind, had stated his position as saying Obamacare is unconstitutional, which of course it is, but that one day someone from the administration came to visit him, the next day changed his mind. Have you heard anything about that, General?
No, I have not. But I got to tell you, the way things have gone, nothing would surprise me today.
I have no doubt that some leverage was applied, but I have no idea what it was. Greg, have you heard anything?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I just wonder if anyone's heard any rumors. I've heard nothing other than there's now conjecture that he was stated, clear, succinct, and had a history on one side and literally went 180 degrees the other direction. All right, let's talk about guns for a bit. We talked about that with Larry Pratt. The Republicans have proved themselves to be backboneless jellyfish, and now they're talking about compromising on gun control in some way, shape, or form. General, can you think of any benefit the Republicans would receive from compromising on gun control with Obama?
No. I can't think of any benefit they receive on compromising with anything with him. He says one thing, he does another. He says in a speech, I will talk to anybody. I will come, just lay it on the table. We will go over it. And then he says at the end of the speech, but under no condition will I do this. And the Republicans all just bubble all over and fall all over themselves. We need a bunch of new Republicans.
Well, I like that, General.
Yeah, me too.
You announcing your run for office?
Say that again?
Are you announcing your run for office?
No, Stan, I thought you would run and I'll support you.
Well, you know what? I run off at the mouth as often as I can. All right. Greg, your thoughts?
There has never been anything good come from compromise with evil, okay? We are looking at a government here that is absolutely evil. Any compromise with it at this point will never come back and help us. Every time any ground is given, it is seen as a sign of weakness, and it is simply results in our side giving the ground and the other side breaking the promise. It's very similar to the time that George Bush, the first George Bush, said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." He was suckered into raising taxes in exchange for promises that did not materialize, and then they hung the no new taxes pledge around his neck like an albatross and gave us Bill Clinton in return. No, do not compromise with these folks under any circumstances. And to be honest with you, I think we need to go up there to Washington, D.C., and give a spinal transplant to every member of the GOP up there, because with the exception of Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, I don't see anybody with a spine at this point.
An Indiana
Amen.
Republican legislator is pushing a bill to allow concealed carry on college campuses, at least in the state of Indiana. Now, a comment that will go around the horn. I believe that an armed society is a polite society. Now, some might say, well, look at Muslims, and I say, don't look at Muslims because they're insane. That's not the same. But if we had college kids with the ability, not a demand, but the ability to have arms, there'd be a lot fewer, in my opinion, attempts at whatever type of harassment, sexual or otherwise. The flip side of that is that unless a college can guarantee the safety of all the students and faculty and visitors, then I believe they accept a liability if they ban your ability to defend yourself. General, I'll start with you.
I don't understand some of what all this gun talking is really about. You know, I have spent most of my life out in foxholes, and I can tell you that if you get shot at enough, guns suddenly become your friend as opposed to being your enemy. And so I think you need, what I'm suggesting to you is, you need to think things all the way through, and we need to go down to the very beginning and work from there up. The problem is, we do not have a gun problem, we have a cultural problem. And until we have solved the cultural problem in America, the gun problem is irrelevant.
Well, that's well said. In fact, I believe that if there were no guns anywhere on the face of the earth, for the sake of discussion, you still would have small people being vulnerable to big people. You'd have female people being vulnerable to male people. You'd have law-abiding people being vulnerable to non-law-abiding people. You'd have honest people being vulnerable to dishonest people. And all a gun is an equalizer.
Yep.
Because a 6'7" man is no big whoop to a 5 tall woman if she has a firearm. Chief?
Amen.
Well, the law of the land, the most important law that comes from the Declaration of Independence, supported by the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, gives us the right to life. That's the very first one. The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, guarantees us the ability to protect our God-given right to life. Gun control is only a means to take that right away from us, to take away our right to defend ourselves and our family's life, a right to life that is guaranteed by God and our founding documents. It's nothing to do with safety, nothing to do with anything else other than to control us, but the government has no business and no right to not allow us to defend ourselves against criminals.
Greg?
The right to self-defense is a natural right. It stems from our Creator. It is the law of God, of nature's God. It is our natural right. To deprive people of their natural right of self-defense places government above that of God, in a position above God. Therefore, we are seeing right now the end result of decades of pushing God out of the conversation, the erosion of our rights under the First Amendment, which leads to our erosion of the rights of the Second Amendment, which will mean we are incapable of protecting our rights under the Fourth and the Fifth. No, we cannot, under any circumstances, be deprived of our right of self-defense, nor of our right, under the Declaration of Independence, to exercise our right and our duty that whenever a government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right and the duty of the people to alter or abolish it.
Well, from your mouth to God's ear, I agree. By the way, I would throw this out in closing this segment. The government of Australia issued the following edict. You do not have a right to have a gun. And your survival is insufficient reason for you to have one. Now, they came out and said exactly that. Just as we close, your thought, General.
I missed the first part of it. I'm sorry.
The governor of
you went out.
Australia said that your survival is insufficient reason for you to have a gun.
Well, I think that's garbage. That's what the Constitution's all about, is my rights and my right to stand and fight for what I believe in, and for what I need to live in a free country. And so the idea that it's not doesn't make any sense to me. And I say, get out of the way and don't push me because you get hurt.
I like that. I like that. All right. On that note, we thank General Jerry Curry for being with us, and we thank Greg Howard for being with us, and thank Chief Steve, and we thank you. We'll be back with Dr. Alan Keyes shortly, so please stay tuned. I like to eat. You like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put it on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Super Colloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back.